Recently, a routine police patrol was parked outside a bar in the outback. After last call, the officer noticed a man leaving the bar so apparently intoxicated that he could barely walk. The man stumbled around the parking lot for a few minutes, with the officer quietly observing. After what seemed an eternity, in which he tried his keys on 5 different vehicles, the man managed to find his car and fall into it. He sat there for a few minutes as a number of other patrons left the bar and drove off. Finally, he started the car, switched the wipers on and off. It was a fine, dry summer night, flicked the blinkers on and off a couple of times, honked the horn and then switched on the lights. He moved the vehicle forward a few inches, reversed a little, and then remained still for a few more minutes as some more of the other patrons' vehicles left. At last, when his was the only car left in the parking lot, he pulled out and drove slowly down the road. The police officer, having waited patiently all this time, now started up his patrol car, put on the flashing lights, and promptly pulled the man over and administered a breathalyzer test. To his amazement, the breathalyzer indicated no evidence that the man had consumed any alcohol at all. Dumbfounded, the officer said, "I'll have to ask you to accompany me to the police station. This breathalyzer equipment must be broken." "I doubt it," said the truly proud redneck. "Tonight I'm the designated decoy."
A Jewish family invited their redneck neighbors over for holiday dinner. The first course was set in front of them, and the Jewish couple announced, "This is a soup made with matzah balls." On seeing the 2 large matzah balls in the soup, the redneck man was hesitant to taste this strange-looking brew. Gently, the Jewish couple urged him to just have a taste. If you don't like it, you don't have to finish it. Finally, he agrees. He digs his spoon in, first picking up a small piece of matzah ball with some soup in the spoon, and tasting it gingerly. The usual mm sound can be heard coming from somewhere deep in his chest, and he quickly finished the soup. "That was delicious," he said, "but I was wondering, can you eat any other parts of the matzah?" Ops.
A man boarded an airplane and took his seat. As he settled in, he glanced up and saw an unusually beautiful woman boarding the plane. He soon realized she was heading straight toward his seat. Lo and behold, she took the seat right beside his. Eager to strike up a conversation, he blurted out, "Business trip or vacation?" She turned, smiled, and said, "Business. I'm going to the annual Sexual Studies Convention in Chicago." He swallowed hard. Here was the gorgeous woman he had ever seen sitting next to him, and she was going to a meeting about sexual studies. Struggling to maintain his composure, he calmly asked, "What's your business role at this convention?" "Lecturer," she responded. "I use my extensive personal experience to share interesting facts about sexuality." "Really?" he gulped, "like what?" "Well," she explained, "for instance, Native American Indians are the most passionate, while Jewish men are the most likely to satisfy a woman fully. And in terms of lasting the longest, surprisingly it's the Southern redneck." Suddenly, the woman became a little uncomfortable and blushed. "I'm sorry," she said, "I shouldn't really be discussing this with you. I don't even know your name." Tonto Goldstein. "But my friends call me Bubba." Ops.
2 rednecks from Arkansas were out hunting. They decided to separate to get a better chance of catching something. The first redneck says to the other, "If you get lost, fire 3 shots into the air every hour. That way I can pinpoint you and find you." After about 3 hours, the second redneck finds he is really lost. He decides to fire 3 shots into the air as the first man told him. He then waits an hour and does it again. He repeats this until he is out of ammo. The next morning, the first redneck finds the second with the help of forest rangers. He asked the second redneck man if he did what he told him to do. The redneck answers, "Yes, I fired 3 shots into the air every hour on the hour until I ran out of arrows." Ops.
2 Virginia rednecks go on a fishing trip. They rent all the equipment, the reels, the rods, the wading suits, the rowboat, the car, and even a cabin in the woods. I mean, they spend a fortune. The first day they go fishing, but they don't catch anything. The same thing happens on the second day, and on the third day. It goes on like this until finally, on the last day of their vacation, one of the men catches a fish. As they're driving home, they're really depressed. One guy turns to the other and says, "Do you realize that this one lousy fish we caught cost us $1,500? The other guy says, "Wow. Then it's a good thing we didn't catch any more." Ops.
2 Yankee boys were driving through the South and was stopped by a state trooper. The trooper walked up to the open driver's window, reached in, and slapped the driver on the side of his head. "What did you do that for?" the driver asked. "I don't know how y'all do it up north, but here in Alabama, you have your driver's license ready when I walk up to the car." The trooper took the license when it was offered, walked back to his unit, and then returned the license to the driver. He then walked around to the passenger side of the car and tapped on the window. When the passenger rolled the window down, the trooper reached in and slapped the passenger on the side of the head. "What did you do that for?" asked the startled passenger. "Well," responded the trooper, "I didn't want you to be disappointed. You'll get about 2 miles down the road and then say, 'I wish that redneck would have tried that with me.'" Ops.
For a wedding, a President Ledbetter gave his son Amos $200. 2 weeks later, he asked him, "Whatcha do with the money, son?" "Bought me a wristwatch, Pappy," answered the boy. "You dumb ignoramus," yelled his father. "You should have bought yourself a rifle." "A rifle? What fair?" "Suppository, and one day you come home and find some guy sleepin' with your wife," explained the older redneck. "Whatcha gonna do? Wake him up and ask him what time it is." Ops.